Hey fellas, picture this. You're the CEO of a big company, and your game has just taken off. You've hit the big bucks, you're in the limelight, so what do? Make a kart racing game, of course. What else? Make a tennis game? What kind of moron would do that? Kart racing games are perhaps the quickest way to sneeze out a game while also making a pile of money much larger than the amount of effort put into the product. You see, the issue with these games is that, while they can be good, I'll never walk into a store and just go,
"Damn, is that Eminem's kart racing?"
Unless you're a big name franchise that starts with M and ends in Ario, most people will just assume your kart racing game is another cheap cash grab to capitalize on the success of your popular property. Hell, if I tried hard enough, I could probably make Burger King kart racing. Damn it. Suffice to say, very few of these are good, but that doesn't mean they're all worth going through the coveted game that's been on the shelf for 40 years shtick, which is why I've decided to go through a handful of them and see if I find anything that isn't Garfield Kart and its associates. Well, if we are going to go through these games, let's get the obvious one out of the way.
Welcome to Mario Kart!
It's hard to think of any other series that's as universally enjoyed as Mario Kart. Seriously, when I say universally enjoyed, I mean it. Go up to anybody in the street and ask them if they want to play Mario Kart. If the 7 out of 10 chance you don't get maced wins out, you'll be having some top-of-the-line multiplayer fun with a stranger. Mario Kart is probably the most accessible kart game there is, purely because of how understandable it is to pick up and play. The series has gone through 8 core installments, not counting some arcade games, an alternative way to die inside, no, God no! Regardless of which entry in the franchise you choose to play, so long as you're not doing a whole lot of this, you'll be having some top-notch fun. I'm not going to go into depth about each and every game, especially considering my thoughts towards Mario Kart 7 extend longer than the Nile River, so instead I'll give a quick summary of each. The original game. There's definite fun to be had here, but just like most first entries in a long-running series like this, it isn't the first game I'm jumping to. Mario Kart 64. Simple, pure, probably the most vanilla Mario Kart, but an awesome game nonetheless. After all, this is where the modern Mario Kart formula was born. Super Circuit. Oh yeah, that one. Double Dash. This game has barely aged a bit, and it's still a blast to play, but what makes it one of the best Mario Karts? I mean, that bonus disc pretty much solidified it. Budget. The game. Mario Kart DS is probably one of the most well-rounded games in the series. It has great single-player content, solid multiplayer, fun tracks, and hell, with a lot of blood, sweat and tears, but mostly blood, they managed to squeeze in multiplayer. Mario Kart Wii, it's overrated. Now that is the happiest angry mob I've ever seen. Why wouldn't they be? I'm just telling the truth. Mario Kart 7, it's a good game. Mario Kart 8. Now this is how a Mario Kart game should be done. It's without a doubt the best looking one, the best sounding one, the best controlling one, and best of all, it has some fantastic tracks. The only downside is the lack of things to do in the game outside of racing, but when it comes down to it, Mario Kart 8 is the definitive game in the franchise. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. You see, that whole Mario Kart 8 thing was cool and all, but I didn't play through the game and think to myself, man, if only I could play as King Boo. Live Circuit. I wouldn't consider this a full-fledged game as much as it is a toy that has an app to go alongside it, but it's still a super cool feeling. An awesome experience that turns your house into not only a mess, but a Mario Kart track. I absolutely loved playing this for the first hour, and now it proudly sits on a shelf doing nothing, and let me tell you, it works just great as a dust collector. Mario Kart Tour. Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transformed. Hold on. Of course, looking at the then and current success of Mario Kart, Nintendo's direct competitor of 20 years prior thought to themselves, we can do this too! The end result is, well, it exists. The thing is, this game would have been awesome if it had released 20 years ago. Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transformed was released in 2012, long after Sonic's prime, so there were very few people sitting there excited to play the hot new Sonic game, because the last hot new Sonic game was Sonic the Hedgehog Part 4. Nevertheless, I'll take a look at this game, featuring such incredible Sonic characters as Sonic, Tails, Wreck-It Ralph, and Knuckles. Let's go ahead and keep this as simple and straightforward as we came here. This game is way better than it has any right to be. It's packed with some neat features. For example, your vehicle will transform into an aircraft or a speedboat to suit the environment. Obviously, these sort of features have been present before in games like Diddy Kong Racing, but having it change mid-race is not only the easiest way to get disoriented, it's also a pretty cool touch. The same transformations also apply to the tracks themselves. One lap you could be on land and then the very next you could be screaming in fear. Not to mention, a lot of the vehicles have an incredible sense of weight to them. The game moves at a solid pace and there's tons of customization. Despite all the good, it's not without its fair share of problems, namely,
Danica Patrick unlocked!
oh good, this is what I've always wanted! The character selection is super weird, specifically on PC. Right alongside Sonic and the gang you've got Wreck-It Ralph, characters from Team Fortress 2 and Football Manager, all the essentials. I mean, it is a Sega property, but at this rate, why don't I add Columns as a playable character? Regardless, this is a really fun game, almost reaching Mario Kart levels, so the big question is, how do you go up from here?
You don't.
Right off the bat, this game isn't terrible, it's just awful. This game completely rids all of the transformation mechanics of the last game, and okay, cool, fine, I got rid of my integrity and I'm still fine, so removing a core feature doesn't hurt the game too much, but when you replace it with mechanics that are flat out messy, it doesn't work. The team mechanics of this game sound cool on paper, but it appears the game developers got a completely different memo, and that's where this game lands. It's still pretty solid, and racing around in general is fun, but the core mechanic of the game just doesn't work.
Anyhow, I'm tired of talking about quality. There's a reason I have my copy of M&M's Kart Racing on me at all times. And speaking of, oh dear God!
There's nothing more fun than turning on the Wii and playing M&M's Kart Racing, or M&M's Racing Team as the game likes to call it. This game has an interesting font choice. They squish a lot of the letters together, which makes some words not look right. Oh hey, looks like Noose has the best lap time. Compared to a lot of other garbage shovelware racing games on the Wii, this one doesn't control as bad, but our problem begins with the track design. In what dimension was this designed for go-karts? I keep crashing into everything because these tracks are so thin, with corners so tight. This level would work for something like a platform and not a racing game. At least I can finally fulfill my dream of driving as an M&M. Some tracks are definitely more competently designed than others, as in these are actually playable, but that does not excuse the handful that were obviously not tested at all, like the Chocolate Factory, or the House. But hey, I did finish the tracks. I don't care what anybody says. I didn't like M&M's Kart Racing. I'm never gonna eat an M&M ever again.
Speaking of shovelware on the Wii, we've got Mythmaker's Super Kart GP. Who knows, this one might be good.
Mythmaker's Super Kart GP, a game consisting of slow karts and even slower turning. You shake the remote to use an item that lasts 2 seconds. Now, the company behind this game, Data Design, is not most renowned for this game. Instead, it's for Action Girls Racing. And man, I've been dying for a terrible racing game track. Look at this, okay? This is the first track in the game, and it isn't even laid out like an actual race track. If you're going to have a god-awful track in this game, why make it the first one? This is just like M&M's Kart Racing. Oh, and these are the same game. At least now I'm fully expecting the same thing with Billy the Wizard Rocket Broomstick Racing. I mean, Data Design? Racing. This has got to be another one of those. Yet, strangely enough, this is one of their most original games. So you control your character by shifting the nunchuck up or down and by holding the Z button. Alright, one more racing game from Data Design. Mini Desktop Racing. This game puts the fun back into Mini.
It's about time.
This game sucks. You control tiny cars in a room with tracks set up via office supplies and around the computer desk. Easy, simple, absolute garbage. Tilt the Wii remote to control the car, but the controls are so ridiculously loose. The controls are so sharp, there are so many walls and so many places to fall off the edge that I have to think about everything after playing this game. How could a game called Mini Desktop Racing betray me?
Well, I finally found my way out of the local bargain bin, so let's talk about one more game before we go over everything. Originality is only my favourite word after all, damn it!
Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled not only exists, but it's a solid game too. You might have realised by now that I'm more of an if it's not Mario Kart it scares me type of guy, but this game is beautiful. It has good mechanics, tons of customization, hard as nails yet incredibly fun maps, loads of characters, and is overall just a really fun game to play. My only issue is it drags on after a while. I'm not really sitting there as excited as I feel I should be. Overall, it's an absolute blast. I just don't find myself sinking my teeth into it like a lot of others.
Well, after looking through a good chunk of kart racing games, these are the conclusions I've drawn. Mario Kart not only exists, but does it with style. It's a great franchise and I definitely consider them a go-to kart racing game. The Sonic games are pretty solid too. Team Sonic Racing is much messier than its predecessor, but it isn't inherently bad. Then we've got Crash Team Racing Nitro Fuel. Great mechanics and tons of content, just a bit dull after a while. One more thing, if you see the words data, design and racing all in the same sentence, run. Anyways, after all of that, I've drawn one main conclusion. We don't need this many!